Let's take a moment to just drop into our heart, taking a deep breath, and just feeling that wholeness, feeling that presence, that light and that love that is the divine, that is contained within all things, that is wrapped around every person, every being, moving through each one of us, no matter where we are on this planet, no matter where we are in this moment, that we are connected. We are connected by that presence. We are connected by that love and that light and that wholeness. It is who we are. I'm knowing that today's service is uplifting and healing and transformational for each one of us, that we receive exactly what we need to receive, that is going to support each one of us on this earthly walk, on this spiritual journey. I'm knowing that Barb's words, Reverend Barb, supports each one of us as we continue on this path. And I'm knowing that the music is uplifting and healing, and that it opens our hearts and supports us as we begin this beautiful Sunday morning. And so as we take another sacred breath, we feel that presence, we feel that light, and we know that we are not alone on this path, that we are not alone on this journey, for we are always lifted up. We are always guided and loved beyond measure by that powerful presence. Call it God, call it good, call it love, call it spirit. That essence and that light is with each one of us. And so with that, with gratitude in our hearts, we let this go. We trust Spirit to do Spirit's great work in our life. And we simply say, and so it is. Amen.
Oh, good morning, everybody. Well, the talk title for today is Your Commitment Greater Than Your Resistance? And this song is about how all forms of resistance are overcomable, or at least about how love is one of the things you need in order to do so. It's called Everybody by Raul Midon. And yeah, Raul Midon is one of the best. So here we go. Picture yourself in a world where there's no one else, nobody anywhere. A moment ago there were voices and faces to look upon, can't see them anywhere. Nothing more to say, and no one left to say it to anyway. Please listen what I say. Yeah, everybody can be somebody. Yeah, everybody is free to make a difference. Everybody can be somebody, and everybody is free to make a difference in this world. Oh yes, we are. Picture a world where the people all feel their worth. Children are everywhere. There is a reason for everyone's time on earth. Wondering why you should care. Nothing more to say, and only love can see us through anyway. Please listen to what I say. Yeah, everybody can be somebody, and everybody is free to make a difference. Everybody can be somebody, and everybody is free to make a difference in this world. Oh, everybody is free to make a difference. Yes, we are. But you don't have to be a big celebrity to feel the power in your soul. But you don't have to be a big star on MTV to realize that in your eyes there's a view that only you can see. Everybody can be somebody, and everybody can make a difference in this world, and everybody can be somebody, and everybody is free to make a little difference in this world. I can, you can, we can, he can, she can, and they can. Everybody is gonna make a little difference in this world. Everybody is gonna make a little difference in this world, yeah. Everybody's free to make a difference.
You rock. Good morning, everybody. It's so wonderful to see you or imagine you. I see you out there, your energetic forms filling up this space between us with love and compassion and kindness. And so let's just do that thing where we harmonize our hearts and minds. Just touch your heart. Take 3 deep breaths. And say with me, care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. So the theme for this month is pulled by vision. And this week I was asked to speak on the idea of creating commitment that is larger than our resistance. And like Jimmy said, the actual talk title is your commitment larger than your resistance? But as a person who has spent a good amount of time in my life in resistance, I thought, well, that sounds a little judgy, right? So we're going to talk a little more about creating commitment, living through resistance, and moving through it all towards the life that we love and the one that we want to hold for ourselves. You know, we talk frequently about living from vision. And this question today of commitment or resistance kind of broke out into some really different points for me. So I feel like I'm about to do like 3 quick talks and then hopefully roll them all into one conclusion. So that's my commitment, and we'll see how much resistance happens along the way. But let's talk about vision, what it is and what it isn't. This became, when I was kind of really sitting with this week, I love vision. I love the visioning process that we do. I love the practice of it and being open to what's out there. But it becomes sometimes this little bit of a rabbit hole in a way for me. And that vision is this idea that there's a vision for our lives that's maybe larger than we know or beyond what we see, definitely beyond what we see right in front of us. If it's what we see right in front of us, it's what we're living, it's not the vision. So, and vision is really great for even next steps in our lives. And we tap into that by connecting with divine mind and being open to what we hear, see, and feel. The rabbit hole in this for me is when we start to sound like we don't have any control, that there's something out there pulling us and that we don't have a choice in it. Because we know that isn't true. Because A, we know that there is no power out there that controls or manipulates or manages our life. And B, we always have choice because there is no power out there that controls or manipulates or manages our life for us or at us. And yet, there is power for good and we can use it. Which means there's a power or presence or source energy or God or whatever you want to name it that is a field of energy with the highest good as the ultimate outcome, and always in an expansive, expanding consciousness mode that it supports its greatest expression, which is you and me and you and you and you. So where's the line between there's something out there that pulls me towards something, and I am actually the director of my own experience on this planet. And if something shows itself in my visioning or in my vision, and it is something I really don't want to do, follow, or engage in, do I have choice? Or is there some destiny that I'm sort of obligated to follow? I thought these are really good questions. And we are always at choice. And what I realize is that sometimes the choice comes down to faith and trust. How much faith and trust do I have in that quiet inner voice? Am I willing to trust in it, at least enough to be curious, even if I can't leap into the deep end of the pool in the immediate moment of what I'm called to? So in my experience of visioning so far, there's usually something really compelling that shows up. I have never had an experience of, I think this keeps some of us from visioning, is that we're like afraid that we're going to be out of alignment with what comes at us in some way. And I don't think that ever happens. There's always something compelling and life-giving and expansive and something that makes you go, oh, and it's not always easy. It's not always the thing that you can step into the next morning when you get out of bed. But there's something about it that is the thing that moves you forward, and it is at least enough of something to give it some headspace and some thought and some curiosity and some wonder. Usually I find that my resistance doesn't come from what I'm called to, but it comes from a fear that I cannot live into what I'm called to. Does that make sense? It's not that there's this vision that is, okay, this is what you are called to be. You're, let's say, called to be a teacher. This Barb is, you're called to teach. And what happens is that you get all caught up in the fear of not enoughness. There's not enough of you to go around. There's not enough of me. There's not, I don't know enough. I'm not smart enough. Not enough money. All the places that we fall back to in our lives where we are believing in the scarcity of our own inner resources. And I kind of got to, like, I have to believe that if the universe is this completely abundant place, and we know that it is, that there is an overflowing enough of everything for everyone, then that also has to apply to our inner resources and the things that are within us. And we would not be called to a vision that we could not fulfill if we're willing. It's the letting go of, I don't know about you, but sometimes I hear that voice and I think, great idea for someone else. And we have to let that go. Living into a greater vision for our lives invites us, it actually requires us to let go of our old points of reference. Now, it sounds cliche in a way, but we really do have to let go of a bit of who we think we are, especially if our thinking has us limiting ourselves in order to grow. And that's always true. Everything always has to let go of something in order to grow. And we also often say that principle is not bound by precedent. Principle is not bound by precedence, which is shorthand for the idea that the life that we are creating does not have to be anchored in our history. Our history exists, and yes, it does. But we can also change our history because we change our thinking about our history. Change is always happening and can happen in new and amazing and beautiful ways. It doesn't always have to repeat. History does not need to repeat. So I was trying to think of an example. For example here, let's say that you are a person or I'm a person, we are people who've always said that our life is about struggle. And let's use financial struggle just for the simple one. Money is always just a really tangible, easy way to look at things. Most of us have had some experience of a financial struggle at some point in our lives. Our 20s are a classic example of that usually, but and it's all relative, but it's relatable. So let's say the vision for your life is one that includes financial freedom in whatever way that outpictures for you. Living into the vision of financial freedom requires us then to let go of the picture of ourselves as living in scarcity or lack. You know what? Actually, it's bigger than that. It's way bigger than that. Most of us seem to carry a dominant story. You hear people say, and you might be able to lean in and see what your dominant story is. My life has been about struggle. My life has been about loneliness. My life has been about abandonment. My life has been about separation. My life has been about, you name it, something. And usually it's something in our lives that is our growth area and our thing to learn. This is not judgment about it. It's just the thing. At some point, we have to let go of that old image of ourselves. We have to let go of the wounded self before we actually experience the new self. Beneath every idea for a vision, for a thing, for a home, a job, or money, whatever that is, that's like there's something underlying that is really the desire. The job, the home, the financial freedom, that's the circumstances of life. What's underneath it is usually about having a life of joy, or a life of freedom, or a life of love, or a life of something else. What is your word? What is your word? But to get to the word, to get to that word, we must change the underlying story. So if your story is always, my life is a struggle, then you view everything from that lens. And it is very hard to let in through that lens a life of joy. But if you can say that your life is a life of joy, you begin to see things through that lens. And if that's too big of a leap, start with creating a pattern shift in your brain. Up until now, my life has been about struggle. And now my life is about whatever it is, fill in the blank for yourself. Up until now, my life has been about pain. Now, my life is about freedom of expression and joy, whatever. So even if we're writing a check for the last dollar we have in our bank account, we get to practice the discipline of mind to not just stay out of fear, but to stay in generosity and gratitude that we have that dollar to spend, and we are spending it consciously, wisely, and with grace. This is not always as easy as it sounds. Fear is brain chomper. But here's one simple truth of the day. If you don't hear anything else today, one simple truth of the day: generosity and gratitude will always, always, always counteract fear. But this talk is supposed to be about resistance. So we all know about resistance, right? It's futile. There's the old saying, what we resist persists. And I was thinking about that and how it kind of sounds punishing in a way, that if I'm resisting something, it's punishing me by persisting in my life, or the universe is punishing me by bringing more of that in my life. And that's not really what's happening here. What I realize is that resistance keeps my energy and focus on the opposite of what it is that I desire. So if the opposite of resisting is focusing on our vision, focusing on what we are creating and what we really want, then resistance simply keeps our mind occupied away from that desire. And it can be strangling. That stuff, it can create complete inertia in our lives. Because we're like, here's what I want, but but no, but yes, but no, but yes. And the universe does respond to that. And we end up in this inertia place. Does any of this make sense? I hope it does. I'm imagining you all nodding with me. So living into vision requires our focused energy and mind moving towards the life we love. Living into vision requires our focused energy and mind. Faith in spirit, in these principles, in truth, whatever it is for you, rewards that focus with opportunities for growth and expansion that support our vision. Never does the vision come just piling on top of us. Financial freedom never falls through the roof. Our next partner never falls through the roof. those things don't fall through the roof. They provide. What happens is that we are open to opportunities. We become, if we're doing it, we become open to opportunities. We listen to the voice within. We follow the voice within, and we say, okay, here's my next step. Here's my next step. Here's my next step. And growth and expansion happens when we are willing to allow growth and expansion to happen. And then those things move into our life. The bummer about this is that it actually requires us to change. If we are here and we want to be there, we have to expand and change our body, mind, spirit, and experiences in order to grow into the vision. We can get there from here always. It wouldn't be our vision if we could not get there from here. But to be what we see requires that we become what we see. To be what we see requires that we become what we see. The beautiful thing is that it already lives within you. It totally lives within you. I was thinking about that. How do I illustrate this a little bit? And it's really simple, I think. We planted a vegetable garden this year. It's the first time I've done this since I was a kid and I was forced to weed, And I have to say, there's something really remarkable and amazing about watching all of this life unfold and change like every single day. So let's imagine for a moment, just try to imagine with me, if you would, your consciousness, your beingness, your life all starts out like a squash seed. Squash seeds are really small, flat things that don't look anything like squash. And we take that seed and we put it in some dirt and we give it a little bit of water, and all kinds of things start to happen. It turns mushy, it sprouts, it begins to put down roots, it begins to grow upward, it gets leaves and flowers. The flowers actually seem to die. And then suddenly there is something that looks like squash at the end of the vine. Every step along the way requires complete transformation of the seed into something else. Nothing in the past history of the endpoint squash looks like the squash. Nothing. The vine doesn't look like the squash. The flower doesn't look like the squash. The seed doesn't look like the squash. The roots don't look like the squash. But never at any point in this journey did the seed look out at what was about to be, what it was going to become, and say, I can't possibly be something that big. It doesn't put roots down and then say, holy crap, I can't go above the dirt. What if I get burned? What if I die out there? What if I'm exposed? What if my feelings are exposed and something hurts them? The seed has something inherent in it that knows two things. It knows that everything dies. We're all going to die. But it mostly knows that if it doesn't grow, it will die without becoming what it was meant to become. Now, unfortunately for us, we have super much more complicated brains, right? And we let all kinds of nonsense get in our way. But I thought, could you just for a moment think like a seed? It doesn't have to be squash. You can choose your own seed. But could you tap into that small, simpler, quieter, more still place in your mind or heart that knows itself so completely that it only knows itself as an expression of the divine that is here to be love and compassion and to express itself in its own unique and beautiful way? Could you allow yourself that moment of stillness where you recall the divine that is within you, planted within you? It is the seed within you that is here to grow and blossom and become more love and compassion and joy in its own unique and beautiful way. Because in that place, we don't even have to entertain resistance. We can simply become relentless in focusing our mind on that vision. Ernest Holmes wrote, "True non-resistance is the surrender of every arrogant attitude of mind to good and to good alone. Those who have made this surrender have found real peace of mind, happiness, and wholeness in the only place it can be found, which is within themselves. Those who have made this surrender have found real peace of mind, happiness, and wholeness in the only place it can be found, which is within themselves. So my question is, can you surrender yourself to good? At the end of the day, that might just be what this whole vision thing is about. Whether your vision is to live in a camper or live in a mansion, whether your vision is to grow a garden or build a computer, it is all just the outward expression of a wonderfully diverse universe. And what would it look like if you simply surrendered yourself to good? And that's the vision I'm going to hold. I'm going to hold that for myself, and I'm going to hold that for you and for this community. I surrender resistance and accept good. I surrender resistance and accept good. Not only do I do that for myself, I want to be surrounded by people who are doing the same. So I guess, do you want to play with me? I'm looking forward to having dinner with a whole bunch of you. We can talk about this. There is a supportive power in the web that we create between us. There is an amazing supportive power in the web that we create between us as we are mindful of the spaces between us. And as we surrender ourselves to good, we surrender our community to good. And I like to think that the universe smiles a little bit when we do that. So let's do that together. Take a deep breath and just go into this moment of prayer with me, where we know absolutely one mind, one heart, one life beating in the middle of this community and its outward expression through each and every one of us, who are living our lives in vision and fullness and love and peace, compassion, kindness, all of the things that we speak of. And I breathe and know and connect with that right now, and I ask you to do that with me as well. And in that moment of connection with each of us, with the universe itself, with this magnificent, bountiful energy that we create and are part of, I know right now that there is good unfolding for each and every one of us, while at the same time I hold the arms of grace and compassion around those who are hurting, around those who are letting go, around those who are letting go. I know right now that the healing arms of grace are around our beloved Nancy, around Chuck, around Alice, around several other folks whose names are not with me right in this moment, but whose hearts and minds are right here with mine. I know that there is grace and peace and comfort within the connection of this community. And I know for the rest of us, I know this moment today of looking outward and saying, wow, a vision of a life of joy, a vision of a life of peace, a vision of a life that is financially free, and that we are moving towards that with such beauty and grace and generosity and kindness. And that it cannot help but change the world around us, our families, our people, Loveland, Fort Collins, Greeley, Windsor, all of it, all of it. And the world, here we are on the interweb. I know today that there is peace in this. I know today there is great love in this. And I know today that all things are possible to those with faith and commitment and movement forward. I give thanks for all of it, for the beauty of this day. I give thanks for the possibilities that are all around us. I give thanks for the opportunities to serve. And I give thanks for each and every one of you within the sound of my voice and who play in this giant sphere we call New Thought, Northern Colorado. Blessings with you all this day. I leave room in this prayer for the universe to surprise and just simply blow my mind with its response to my prayer. And I ask you to join me in saying, and so it is.